Hello there, Sir from 17 once again. This is a channel update, and admittedly it is the 18th of November, but I'm going to call this one October, because I don't think I did one in October, and we're going to address pretty much what happened throughout that month, and then some future things that are going to be happening throughout this month, even though we're midway through it. Just bear with me, folks. I've been meaning to do this video for a while, but unfortunately it's one of those strange ones, because I pretty much just hit the record, I don't have anything playing, and I go for it, and sometimes it can be really fun, other times it can be quite difficult to say what I really want to say without scripting, and I kind of merit my channel on the fact that I don't script a lot of things. I don't script anything, really, even though a lot of people seem to think I do, and ask whether or not I wrote it down before I started speaking, and it's just not the case. It's got nothing to do with professionalism, it's just the way I think it rolls off a little better on the tongue. You're going to always sound much better if you write things down and you have something really elaborate and well polished, and then you recite it perfectly and you edit it well. You're going to sound awesome, you're going to sound so much better than you ever could do when you're just letting your brain run. But it also can sound a little bit fake and forced, and the channel updates are intended to be kind of a personal thing, it's me telling you what's happening with the channel. It's not the show, it's not me putting on a character or anything, it's just a bit of information. It's just, keeping up with the times. So October was a really good month on the channel. Evil Within performed beautifully. I can't say a single bad thing about that walkthrough so far. It's been hitting some really big numbers. My analytics were all over the place. It was really nice to see. I got a nice boosted increase of people watching. That guide it worked wonders, and it worked better than anything has pretty much all year, except for maybe Dark Souls 2 on the blind playthrough, because some of those were popular, but even then I think it's outperformed them, so it was a fantastic project to cover, and it's done really well, so I'm super happy for it, and it will continue to do so, because that is a very challenging game. Of course we did, Bayonetta 2, which didn't do so well, unfortunately, but it's still a great game. I had a lot of fun with it. There's going to be a lot of projects of that still coming, which I'm going to talk about after I've covered October. We did a little bit of Legend of Korra in that time, which did surprisingly better than I thought it would, so that was nice to see. A fun project too. Some people liked it, some people didn't. And a few other things just thrown in on top of there, but as a whole, October was really, really good. And I got quite a lot of people, I forget what the name is, pledging, I think it's called, pledging to me on Patreon. So I'm just going to get that out of the way, guys, before I talk about what's happening now and what's happening in the future. Because this might have been in October, this might have been before, and some of these people that I'm going to be thanking here might have actually cancelled their pledge, because I noticed that 2 people left, but because of the way that Patreon sets up its stuff, it's very difficult to monitor this kind of stuff, so I'm actually going through the emails and sifting through, and it's quite awkward. I'm going to have to set like a group for it to make this a little bit better, so if you have pledged to me and I haven't thanked you, just know that I am eternally grateful, folks. It's an awesome thing, and I'm thanking the people that I can find in this convoluted system of reporting it. So if you don't really care too much about what Patreon is, or about the concept of people giving money to something that they like, feel free to skip this section, or to click off the video, whatever you want. I'm just going to say some quick thank yous. So I'm going to run down a list of names here. The first one is Grimulkin, thank you very much. Next one is Raisuke, another thank you to that person. Then we have Robert, a little simpler than the other names. Thank you, Robert. Then we have Archer, gracias. And then we have Nico, who's probably not a relation to Steven Seagal, but I'm very grateful for your support, brother. Then we have Arturo, which sounds like a pretty badass name. And then we have Corey, last but not least on my list here. So big thanks to all those people for supporting the channel. It's awesome, folks. You really have no idea how good it makes somebody feel when you realise that people are invested in what you do. It's very inspiring stuff, so thank you very much. And that is it. That is the end of the Patreon section. I'm not going to e-beg, I'm not going to force it down your face, I'm not going to cry or play the martyr. We don't need to. We're having too much fun doing what we're doing. So, November then. November's a big month. There is a lot of shit coming out this month. There's a lot of shit come out this month, We're all shitting every day, hopefully. And I'm kind of confused with it. So as it stands, I have a couple of ongoing projects now that Advanced Warfare is coming to an end. We have the continuation of the Wonderful 101. That's not going anywhere. It's criminally underperforming on the channel, which is very sad to see, but it's a beautiful game. I think it's very good and I want to support it, so I'm going to finish it. The Destiny live walkthrough isn't really on demand, isn't really performing very well, so there's a chance that I'm probably just going to drop it. And some people might wonder why I say that, because normally when I start something I finish it, and that is very true, but I have no urge whatsoever to play that dull ass game ever again, so I'm probably never going to go back. That might change, you know, I'm not saying never, I just probably won't. So if I get a massive uproar, sorry, I don't know where my words are today, they've just left me, just fleeted, but if there's a massive response of people demanding Destiny, which there really won't be, then it probably will make a return just by popular demand, because you've got to keep, you know, the masses happy. But chances are that's not going to happen, because everybody's kind of realising that Destiny was not as good as they wanted it to be, not as good as they were told it were, and not as good as they first thought it was. It's just as it is. And there is a lot of DLC coming for it, and I'm not covering it, guys, because I'm not paying for the game twice. I paid enough, and I got ripped off, so they can go fuck themselves. But those are the two ongoing projects, which is going to be slimmed down to one currently on the channel. And then there's the new stuff. So I will be covering Shadows of Mordor on the 21st. And I appreciate, folks, that there might not be many people watching it because it's old as piss now. You know, it's been out nearly a month, which, you know, to some people will be like, are you on crack, Chris? How can that be old? But in the grand scheme of YouTube, it really is. You know, if you're not there in the first few days of a release, then you're last. You're already, you know, redundant. And personally, I don't think there is a wrong time to play games. If you want to put SNES games on your channel, feel free. You know, props to you for having the awesomeness to cover those games you really like instead of doing the ones that you feel like you have to. And that can be a big draw when it comes to YouTube, and a lot of pressure for things, because covering new projects is always going to be better than covering old projects. And you'll notice the majority of folks who do the older projects already have quite a large following that pretty much allows them to cover whatever they want, because they've already established that hard work at the beginning. And if you don't, it can be really difficult, and you can see the disparity between numbers. And I know there's more to YouTube than numbers, and I know a lot of people don't really like listening to people speak about it, but I find it still interesting, and I'm trying to share just the information of what I have with the channel here. That's what this update is about. But I will be covering Shadows of Mordor. I'll only be doing the main missions. I'll probably put some kind of restriction on myself to have a little bit more fun, make it a bit more challenging. From what I've played on the PC, it's not a very tough game and there are no difficulties, which is a little bit sad, but it's really fun and I like Monolith, so I'm going to try and support that game. And I'm hopefully going to give people an idea of just exactly what the console versions are when you play it on, you know, last generation, which is probably going to be pretty damn grim, but we will see shortly. That comes out in a few days. It also comes out flanked by some pretty mammoth titles, and some mammoth titles that I'm not really that down with. So, the first one is Dragon Age Inquisition. I tried to play Dragon Age 2, I think it was, and I just couldn't get into it. I just didn't really find it to be all that fun. I couldn't really fathom the fun of it. And I ran around a town, I went into some dungeons, I killed some stuff, you know, I did the thing, and I just wasn't in the mindset for that game. But there's a part of me that really wants to play Dragon Age Inquisition. I don't know if I'll be making any projects from it, who knows, maybe I'll pick it up and I'll love it. There's a part of me that really wants to, but as it stands I'm in no rush to cover that game because it's not my series and I'm too ignorant of it to tell you really if I could make that much of a guide. And I'm sure there will be plenty of strategies that are needed for it, it's just not really my ballpark, folks, so they probably won't come from me till quite some time afterwards, if they do at all. And then the other one is Far Cry 4, which I really want to play Far Cry 4, but I've always thought the gunplay and the AI in Far Cry games was lacking. You know, the guns never felt as powerful as they should do, the shooting never felt as tight as it could do. It was always kind of subpar to what I wanted it to be, because they always have the fantastic play areas, they always have quite a lot of things for you to do, there's always a nice emphasis on freedom, and I just wish everything else was as tight as you know, the vision of what they have. So you notice I never covered Far Cry 3, even though I had a lot of fun with Far Cry 3, but when you put these games on the hardest difficulty, they just don't tend to be that fun, because it's just a case of the enemies spot you super quickly and you die a little bit faster, so you have to mess around with that stupid healing mechanic they have where he pulls shit out his hands and he breaks his fingers and resets them. It's just needless, a lot of it, because they take far too long and you're vulnerable while you're doing them, and I just never found them that interesting on the harder difficulties. They were just kind of boring to me. Obviously not talking about the older Far Cries, which were made by pretty much a different company at this point. But I want to cover it, and I don't know how I'm going to. I might be doing a live playthrough, I might do, you know, just a balls deep, something like that. I want to put some footage out there, because it's probably a really good game. I just, you know, it's like Assassin's Creed. It's not really the type of game that needs to be covered as far as a walkthrough goes, because the first thing you can do on those games, if you don't know this, is you can do all the towers. And when you do all the towers, which does take a long time, admittedly, it enables you to fast travel everywhere, and it also gives you the most powerful guns in your lockup. So you can take on the first mission with a silenced, you know, submachine gun with a scope, and you can just murk everybody. There are a lot of really easy ways to make that game considerably easier, and they generally don't have difficulty achievements on them, which is one of the largest incentives, would you believe, of the people that use my walkthroughs. You know, the trophy guys, the achievement guys, who want an easier path through a game they don't particularly want to play, because their entire subculture is gotta get those achievements, gotta get those trophies, you know, they don't matter how, they just want them. And when there is no incentive like that, it can hurt the potential, and it's an interesting situation to be in, because you know it's going to be a solid game, because Far Cry 3 was great, and this one looks like it's just building off the shoulders of that. But we'll see anyhow. And of course, I don't have a next gen console, so all the awesome things coming to the, I say next gen, it is technically current gen. I don't have the new consoles, so I can't cover any of the awesome things coming out for them, and there is a lot of things coming. So I suppose the better question is, what can I do and what am I doing? So at this moment in time, I am recording Splinter Cell high definition on hard. There's a couple of interesting achievements on it that I've not really set as my goal, which I might be able to get, and I might be able to guide people through so that they can get. One of them is never dying. So I don't know if I'm going to do this, because I've already died, but I've reloaded, and I don't know if that counts. But I believe it's not that difficult to do, because the moment you start getting shot, or the moment you start falling to your death, or you set on fire, or whatever it is that happens, if you pause and reload, boom, you're done. And you can play the entire game that way, so that's probably much more simple than it sounds. Another one is not using any med packs. I'll definitely be getting that. I think there's one for not tripping any alarms, which I think I'll definitely get that too. And then there's another one for only killing like 3 people per level. That one I do not think I will get, because I tried my best not to kill anybody up to a point, and then they put me in a mandatory shooting section at the end of the Kalinotech building, and it was terrible. It was all the way up there with Splinter Cell Conviction in "this is not Splinter Cell, what the fuck are we doing?" kind of moment, even though this is the first Splinter Cell, so it's essentially the quintessential formula. Luckily though, they avoided those moments later on in the game, or later on in the series, and they gave you more of an option to not have to shoot stuff, because the shooting in those games is absolutely shit. It's hilarious, and I remember it being shit when I first played it, and it's just as shit as I remembered. It's awesome. So that's definitely coming. I will be doing Pandora tomorrow, similarly hardest difficulty, maybe those other stipulations if they have them, and I will be doing Chaos Theory, which is my personal favourite. I think Chaos Theory is the best Splinter Cell game ever made, and that will kind of cover my November/December coverage of Splinter Cell, and then from that point onwards I'm going to be covering things that either that I've missed, or continuing on with some of these new series as to, you know, to intersperse between the walkthroughs. I will be doing some Street Fighter stuff, as I've already, you know, showcased on the channel. I will be doing some Bayonetta 2 stuff, probably some live Tag Climax projects that I'm working on, possibly the beginning of a playthrough with Rosa, which could be really fun. And then it's going to be, hopefully, a bunch more Balls Deeps. I'm probably going to do something with The Binding of Isaac. Is it Rebirth, I think it's called? I've been playing it the last few days on and off, having a few credits here and there, and I don't really understand the game at this moment in time, and I don't really know whether or not I like it. It's... all the parts are there for a compelling and interesting and fun experience, but I find it too slow to start, and I appreciate it's random, so sometimes you can get really unfortunate with drops and things, but when you've got, you know, to the... I think the furthest I've got was... I got to the Mother boss fight, but I think it goes a little bit further than that, and it continues the more you play. And I died, effectively. She one-shot me with her shoe, which wasn't fun. Because the game has this tendency of, it builds you up, and then it throws you in a room that's just absolutely 10 times harder than anything you've ever seen, and it strips you of all your life. And you have a massive hitbox on that game, so it's not even like shmup skills are going to help you that much, because you're restricted by pretty swimmy movement, which I don't like, and his giant fucking head hitbox. So you take damage, and it's an interesting game. I think it's really cool, but every time I play I pick up something different, and I don't know what it does. And it'll say something along the lines of, "Ooh, energy comes from within," and you're like, well, what the fuck does that even mean? You know, I don't want to go to a wiki to understand what I'm doing. It would be nice if there was a little explanation of it, and chances are there might be, but when I've pressed all the buttons, they don't do shit. And when I pause it, it just brings up that hilarious screen, and it's an interesting game. I'll probably do something with it. And that's pretty much it, folks. You know, I'm going to cover stuff that I enjoy, I'm going to cover stuff that's fun, I'm hopefully going to cover things that are difficult. I'm going to try and make a push for a few more live projects, because I know people really like them, people really ask for them, and I did stop my channel from turning more towards blind playthroughs than walkthroughs because of the way that the copywriting was changing on YouTube and the way that they were cracking down on it. And it turns out that that was another lie, pretty much, because from what I've seen on every live project I've done since then, I haven't been flagged for anything. So they've either changed their own stipulations or they're nowhere near as strict as they used to be. And it's really frustrating because this is the second time it's happened to me. When I was becoming a partner, they told me I couldn't have a single copyrighted thing on any of my videos or it wouldn't work. So I went through and I audio swapped hours and hours of work that I'd made so that I could qualify for this thing. And then when I got it, you had to click the monetize on the video anyway, so none of those videos would have had it. So all I ended up doing was spending 2 solid days of my life clicking fucking monotonous menus that would crash every so often, and you can only do so many per hour. And it's really annoying, because now I have to go back and change them back, because a lot of people stumble on those videos and I'm like, what the fuck is this? You know, where's the commentary? Where's the help? And all you can hear is some trippy bullshit free music that then went on to be claimed as copyrighted, which is even better, but I'm not going to get into that because it could suck a big fucking dick. But the moral of the story is, I got shit-fisted then, getting into this partner scheme where I wasted time, and once again, I was going to change my channel's direction for the benefit of it, so that I could hopefully build it a little quicker, and I didn't do that out of respect for the rules that they were adhering to, and it turns out that I was literally the only person who didn't, and it was pointless to do so. So, it's the politics of this failed fucking system. It's amazing. And you might be wondering why I was going to, you know, swap towards that when I'm a walkthrough channel and I make walkthroughs and those are what I enjoy. Well, the honest truth there, folks, is that games are getting easier. Games are getting so easy, you're not going to need walkthroughs. It's going to get to the point where when you press start, you get all the achievements and the credits roll, because nobody wants to be challenged anymore. And the people that do are playing the challenging games, and those games are now looked at as being niche. Little genres, you know, little pockets of sadomasochists who don't want the game to do everything for them, don't want to live their life on fucking training wheels. It's madness, but that's the way it is. So moving towards blind playthroughs are much more unique, because it's more a case of your reactions and what you do with the game than the game itself. And a lot of channels build based on that single premise, which can be really, really fun. And I do enjoy the blind playthroughs, it's just, if it was up to me, I would have it go the other way. But nothing's up to me, you know, nothing's up to any of us. It just kind of shifts with the ebb and flow of whatever's most popular. And unfortunately right now the most popular stuff is generally mediocre and fake. So what can you do? You know, you can continue forging your own path and suffering, or you can concede and start with the booby thumbnails and the face cam and the "what's going on guys, it's so great to have likes" and all that fucking trash, which I just wish I could do but can't. But that is the end of the channel update, folks. Hopefully you're interested in stuff that's going to be happening. Thank you for all the new subscribers if you've got this far in something that you've possibly not watched before, and thank you to all the legends that stay with me and support the channel. We're going to continue forward making the best content we can. We're possibly going to be upgrading to 60 frames per second because I've got the settings and the render times down. I've got everything working as it should, which I'm going to be testing very shortly. And it's just going to be onwards and upwards as the quality gets better and as the empire expands. So thank you very much for watching, and you take care now.